Hey there, rock and rollers. You're watching Rock and Roll Record Review with Gabe. I'm chilling and grilling here with this Behringer Strat copy. You're probably thinking, that's pretty punk rock. But this thing is not quite as it seems because, can't really tell this by looking at it, but it is set up as a baritone guitar. And why on earth would someone do that? But then I can do this. Yeah, put a little spring reverb, a little boss tremolo on that. Instant spaghetti western guitar sound there. So pretty cool. Yeah, so I borrowed this guitar from my dad because why not? So today we're reviewing a new rock and roll record, a new double album that can, sit in your double CD spots in your old CD tower alongside Quadrophenia and Speaker Box The Love Below and all your favorites. This is TBASA's new one, and it is titled A 24-Step Program. And it's got 24 songs on it, which I'm really happy about because my only criticism I would have had with TBASA's recent works is hey man, this record has 3 songs on it. This one's got 5 songs on it. Where are the other 19? So yeah, really happy to see first of all that there are 24 songs here. Now, I got to listen to the songs ahead of time, not in the sequence that was eventually used on the record, but in, I think, the order that Tim created them in. And so I got to hear all these, and I'm like, man, these are some bangers. This is going to be a good record here. And I got to say, yeah, this is nothing short of TBASA's Sign o' the Times. Now, there are different types of double albums. You can make a double album that's like a concept album. You got your Tommies and the Walls and stuff. You can make one that's just like a crappy bar band for 90 minutes, like Exile on Main Street or whatever. You can make the White Album, my favorite of all, nice and eclectic. You got your Revolution 9s, your Wild Honey Pies, your Why Don't We Do It in the Roads. And you've got Prince has made several multiple CD sets. So he's got 1999, Emancipation, and the one that this record really reminds me of, Sign o' the Times. So Sign o' the Times, Prince had gotten more slick. He had a band backing him, The Revolution, on most of the albums, and he got back to basics, played everything himself, and made a monster of a double album sometime in the late 80s with Sign o' the Times. And this is only, I would say, the third Sign of the Times-ish album that I've ever heard. The first one, of course, was Sign o' the Times. Second one, The Pod by Ween. And third, this one, a 24-step program. So, interesting thing about Tim's records, he's got a definite songwriting voice. I can listen to a song of Tim's, I can recognize one of his songs from a mile away. So, if you had Miley Cyrus covering a TBASA song, I would still, be able to recognize it as a TBASA song. Kind of like, if I listen to, Cuff It by Beyonce on the new album, I can just hear it and Nile Rodgers had a hand in this. I hear Get Lucky. I hear Upside Down. I hear Good Times, you know. I just, much like Nile Rodgers, TBASA has a songwriting signature. But having a songwriting signature, that does not mean that every one of his albums is the same. He's not AC/DC, he's not the Rolling Stones. So we've got, you know, the backwoodsy brevity is its hallmark, which until this record was my favorite one of Tim's records. And you've got like the hip-hop odyssey of the hyperbole. You got the space oddity of Good, Good, Good. You have the whatchamacallit, the pop dance festival of Don't Say Suck. You got all that kind of stuff. Or the timely political punk rock-ish thing going on with 4-track demos for a band I won't create, or you know, whatever that album was called, EP. Yeah, and this time we have a real eclectic album, much like Sign of the Times or the White Album. But we are not just, you know, stepping into familiar TBASA territory here, because we've got, I mean, you got your gentle, ethereal stuff. You've got, you know, there's like a song or two where you're like, hey, it's the rip-off beat. And it's, you know, one of Tim's favorite chords, but made it to the rip-off beat. And it's a new song, and it's cool, and it's okay to have a songwriting signature. You know, no one's gonna say, oh no, man, this is Brian Wilson's repeating himself. Did you notice that Wouldn't It Be Nice has the same beat as California Girls? No. It's okay. I have made lots of songs that sound like other songs that I've written, and that's fine. So, anyway, so what's new here is this Odyssey steps into funky stuff. There's a song that is very Princey. Looking at the track listing, I don't think I necessarily know what it is called now, because these song names are not like in the refrain. I mean, it's not like if you listen to Oh Christmas Tree, what else would it be called? It's called Oh Christmas Tree. These are more kind of like, you know, Stone Temple Pilots. Like one of their biggest hits was called Plush. And, you know, I don't think Scott Weiland said plush once in the song. I'll say my favorite track on the whole thing, Hatfield Projector, which I would have started the album off with it, but Tim, I think, is doing like the pencil theory thing. Number 2 is number 1. And, you know, word for Blur, I mean, their Woohoo song isn't called Song 1, it's Song 2. And, you know, it's just such a cool song. Down, 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 and then it changes time signature, and it's very catchy. And then the chorus comes in over that first time signature bass thing again. It's a real hit. And you watch Rick Beato, rather. You know, Rick Beato is what makes this song great thing. He could do one of those about Hatfield Projector. Yeah, it's that good of a song. But otherwise, let's talk about some new zones that Tim steps into on this record. So, for having a pretty punk rock sensibility, we'll say that especially in his solo material, full-on rock is rarely Tim's go-to place. And interestingly, on this record, when Tim does step into the more full-on rock arena, it's in this very slowly trudging lumberjack Bigfoot kind of way, like with this, you know, heaviness that's even heavier because it's slower. Kind of like if you think about, you know, the Melvins, or sometimes, you know, Tad might have stepped into that sort of arena where it's and it's so much heavier than if you turned up the tempo and you know, because it's lumbering. Whereas sometimes if you go too rock and you go to it actually becomes less heavy. It's more like just a nippy chihuahua than, you know, the big dog. And so yeah, there's a lot of you know, variants from the heavy and the loud to the gentle and the sensitive. You've got it all here. And I mean, one of the things that you know, I can say about Tim's songwriting is that it's pretty consistently catchy and uses repetition and syncopation in a way to reinforce its catchiness, but it somehow manages to do that without having an alarm clock-ish quality or like a Baby Shark-ish quality to it. So, you know. So let's see, there's a, speaking of, you know, tremolo, got some tremolo there, there's a jazzy number on the record that has some tremolo-y guitar. That's pretty cool. There's one that, you know, reminds me of riding on a boat that's like got some sort of a, you know, sort of beat to it. And, yeah, so, gotta say, yeah, Tim has definitely outdone himself with this record. I don't give letter grades to musicians that I know personally, and long ago, I was in fact in a band with Tim. I was slapping the bass back then, and as someone whose, you know, skill set includes the bass guitar, I gotta say, like, I think that the bass on Hatfield Projector has got some really cool kind of stuff in it. Like, you know, Tim, you got some bass chops there. You can come up with a really cool bass line with some little subtle things in it that you might not notice at first that make it a little cooler. Yeah, and I like that. Not like an extremely difficult part to play or anything, but if you're playing difficult stuff on the bass, you're doing the wrong thing with the bass. That's my feeling about the bass. Like, you're missing the point of the bass if you're doing, you know, that stuff. Yeah. So, do yourself a favor. Give this record a listen. I don't think it's on the streaming services yet, as far as I can tell. I hope it is there soon, so I can bang it in my ride, but I also understand that, you know, that is not a way that anyone is going to make any money, unless we're like, hey, Tim, I can't stop listening to your album in my car. Like, really? Like, I listen to it every day for a year, and here's 37 cents. I mean, that's, you know, the best I could do. But that said, I don't think Tim is expecting to make a fortune on this album. So, you know, I hope that he's thinking of those of us who might, you know, have Apple CarPlay in our car, and we want to just be able to say, "Hey Siri, I'm jonesing to hear the new joint from TBASA," and then, you know, hear bow 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 bow, you know. So, yeah, there you have it. 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. Nice work. This one is inspiring. It's inspiring me, saying, you know, hey man, you haven't made a record in a year and a half. And your old pal Tim here, he just made a double album. So you need to get cracking. And, you know, if this baritone guitar thing inspires you, go ahead and make a Lee Hazelwood album. So, yeah,